Okay, so I used to work on board cruise ships as a crew member. Gone are the days of my time as a cruise ship employee. I am on the other side now, as a passenger, a normie, if you will, and I do enjoy it. However, there are times that I miss being a crew member, and it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the parties. Well, you know what? To be honest, the parties were great as a crew member, and as an American, you are a minority. An absolutely great time. However, what I miss the most are the things that we would talk about amongst the crew member, all of the secrets. However, today, I'm gonna give you guys a little treat, and I'm gonna be exposing 5 secrets that you as passengers aren't supposed to know about as an ex-crew member. For number one, you are being profiled by the crew on board cruise ships. From the minute you step on board, you are being watched and you are being talked and gossiped about. Now, let's be honest here, profiling or even judging other people is something that humans naturally do, even though most of us won't admit it. This happens when you go to the grocery store. This happens even when you are going on a flight. You ever notice how the flight attendants or stewardess are in the front of the plane waiting to greet you and even asking how your day is going? They're not just being nice, they are profiling you. They are seeing if you are a creepy guy, if you are a risk potentially to the airline, or more importantly, if you're somebody that could potentially be of help in the event of an emergency. Now, cruise ships take it a step further because typically you're there for more than a couple hours, like you would be on a flight. So, as you can imagine, during your cruise, the crew not only ask themselves but others what they think of you. Are you somebody that is potentially a big tipper? Are you somebody that's rude? Are you somebody that's friendly? Are you a potential spy for the other cruise line? Are you somebody important? To them, it's important to know these things. That way they can, yes, decide how it is that they're going to treat you. And let's be fair, if you've been on a cruise ship, you know all the crew members are amazing people. They don't even forget your name. But there is, of course, a purpose to doing all of this. They want to know if you're somebody that they, well, need to know. That's why they never forget your name. You ever find yourself on a cruise going to the same bar throughout the entire cruise and you come to realize that it wasn't of your own doing, and at the end of the day, there was truly nothing special about that bar. You probably had to walk a little bit of a ways, depending on your location on the ship at that time, to even get to said bar. Why do you do it? Well, there is a game being played. The crew member's been nice to you. They remember your name. They remember what you like to drink, and they may even show you a cup trick or two. And just like that, you are now hooked on that bar. And well, at the end of the day, these games are played so the bartender can potentially get a little bit more moolah out of you. Now, just to be clear here, it's not only about the money. The bartenders are actually happy to serve you, and they are genuinely good people that love what they do. They just want to be able to put a smile on your face while you give them some money, of course. Number two, there are cameras on board cruise ships that can see your balcony. I don't know why this has become such a controversial topic. People are screaming and yelling to the rooftops, or should I say the top deck on a cruise ship, that it's an invasion of privacy. The cruise line should not be allowed to do this. Well, I have news for you. Unfortunately, that is not how this works. If you are doing what you are supposed to be doing on the balcony, you wouldn't really have that much of a need for extreme privacy. This is not a restroom area. However, unfortunately, some people decide to take it upon themselves to do things like smoking on the balcony, which, by the way, if you were on a cruise ship, particularly Carnival, for example, you have the potential to be fined up to $500 for doing such an action, a offense on board a Carnival cruise ship. But other cruise lines also have these fines that you will face if you take this type of action on the balcony. We all, of course, know that there are other activities that take place on cruise ship balconies. And like I said, I mean, there may be the possibility that the cruise lines won't say anything about it, but there are cameras and there are things that are being seen. And worst case scenario, you guys have to understand that just because you have a balcony doesn't mean the person next door can't see or hear what's going on. That is a high possibility. However, it is your prerogative. I'm just letting you guys know what the situation is. You do what you do, and I mean that quite literally. And indulge, enjoy yourself, and well, if there are consequences, then that's up for you to face. If not, to have fun. Number three, some crew members or cruise ship employees make a lot of money. They make a lot of guap, a lot of moolah on board cruise ships. For some reason, over the past years, this has become such a controversial topic amongst the seven seas on board cruise ships. But as somebody that has worked for 3 cruise lines, I can tell you guys straight up, some crew members out there are making a lot of money. Some of them are lying even about the money that they make because, yeah, I mean, it's in their benefit to say this so they can continue making more tips. Now, I want to be very clear here. The crew members deserve all the tips that they get, and especially if they are nice, and most of them are, right? Some of them are very good at what they do. They go above and beyond and make sure you have the ultimate cruise experience. Tip them to oblivion. But I would say it's primarily amongst the people that get this rumor started that the cruise lines are doing some type of slave labor. I will put it this way. If the crew members could go get work somewhere else and make more money, and it's yes, they can actually as well, but if they were having such a bad time on board cruise ships, they wouldn't keep coming back again and again and again to work on board cruise ships. When I worked on cruise ships, I had friends that worked in most departments. And yeah, every now and then we briefly and on a surface level have these types of conversations in terms of the money because I was an entertainer on board and you hear that the entertainer makes the most money. However, I had friends that worked in the spa. I had friends that were maitre d's and room stewards. And a lot of them, yes, like many cruise ships, were from the Philippines. And when I found out that some of them have two homes, three properties, four properties, and when you look at the cost of living, you have to understand that yes, there is the US dollar that they are being paid versus the Filipino peso. I believe at this point, don't quote me on this, the Filipino peso is worth about half of the amount of the US dollar. Yes, this does fluctuate as well. And it has been noted that the cost of living in the Philippines, or at least most of it, I would say the mainstream cities alone, compared to most major cities in the United States, is 70% cheaper than that of the United States. Just understand when I tell you, a lot of them, most of them, in fact, are living pretty good. The only caveat, and I want to say maybe negative, is that they are living on the cruise ship away from their family anywhere between 6 to 9, 12, sometimes 13, 14 months or longer. Somewhat piggybacking off of number three, for number four, some crew members are just putting up an act, meaning they are just there purely to make money. Yes, believe it or not, crew members are humans too. As professional and nice as they are, some are extremely happy to be working on board cruise ships. Most of them actually are, especially when you're living down in the dungeon. When you get a chance to get up to the surface level where the passengers are and get a little bit of action in, yeah, it is a good time. However, you do have some crew members that are sad. Some are even unfortunately depressed because they miss their family, but they're doing what they got to do. Some are even annoyed by some of you. Just imagine all day long you're dealing with, let's say, some passengers that are not great people. I had friends and even a ship bay at one point that worked at the customer service desk. Just imagine being asked dumb questions all day long, like, does this elevator take me to the other side of the ship, and everything in between? You ever go to a Chick-fil-A and you see how happy and professional all of the employees are, and they got that perfectly working drive-through? I still don't know how they do it. It needs to be studied. However, do you honestly believe that those workers there are actually legitimately happy 24/7? You ever gone to Disney? Well, as somebody that has not worked for Disney, I worked at Universal and I worked for SeaWorld. I had friends that worked at Disney. The way a lot of them would be as soon as they got off the clock would be absolutely diabolical. I couldn't believe it. Some of them, the first thing they would do is head straight to the bar and they needed a drink to alleviate and regulate themselves from all the stress that they had been dealing with in terms of obnoxious and potentially annoying and entitled families all day long. It's the same thing on a cruise ship. Just imagine. Finally, for our fifth and final secret, of course, you guys, if you stuck around this long, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. That way you get notified whenever I post more videos like this. Cruise ship room stewards know everything that you do on board your cruise. They clean your entire stateroom. That's all I gotta say. And for some of you out there, you are some messy people. You don't think the room stewards are, yeah, of course they're judging you. Let's be honest. If they still got to put that smile on their face because yeah, it's work and they do want a tip at the end. Make sure you tip your room stewards especially if you know you're a messy person, by the way. But just think about it. They see the cigarette butts that you leave on the balcony. They see how trashy of a person you are. They see how much room service you're ordering, which you should indulge. You're on a cruise. You want to order room service 5 times a day. You're ice cream and chocolate strawberries and Oreo cheesecake, by all means, indulge and enjoy. However, you have to understand they see everything in between all of that too. They see when you don't show up back to your cabin in the morning, you're taking the walk of shame. They see you coming to the cabin doing some bed wrestling with somebody that isn't your husband or your wife. Believe it or not, these things do happen. I promise you they do. Moral of the story here, treat all of the crew members, especially the room stewards on board cruise ships, with the utmost respect because they know a lot more than you think they do. All I'll say is thank goodness crew members on cruise ships are some of the most professional people you will ever meet anywhere. Honestly, I don't really think there's any competition. Maybe resorts, but I don't even think they even come close to cruise ship employees because for some of you out there, if they were to divulge some of the things that they've seen and heard and know about you, you'd be in a lot of trouble. I mean, I can't really talk. I'd probably be in some trouble too with all the craziness and malarkey and partying that I've done on board cruise ships. But this is what we have for today's video, guys. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Maybe I missed something for all the crew members out there. Subscribe if you haven't already. And know as usual, I appreciate all of you. I'll see you later. Take it easy.